For ships as large as the Idris, the usual ship review format proves challenging, simply because touring a ship of this size takes twice as long as many of the other ship reviews in their entirety. For this reason, this video will take a look around the Idris, with a second video to follow later to complete the review. I'm Forrester, and welcome aboard the Idris P. And we start the tour of the Idris P by entering from the rear and below the ship. This Idris is in landed configuration with the heavy landing gear sitting proudly. There are multiple ways aboard depending on the configuration of the ship. In this case we'll be opening the rear ramp and entering via the rear of the hangar bay. Alternatively, for those that are in space, there are some docking ports on board the ship, as well as the hangar and the secondary hangar as potential entry options. The rear ramp can deploy when it's planet side, is great for entering on foot or via a small ground vehicle. Heading up the ramp takes you into the large hangar bay on board the Idris. In this case it's been loaded up with various ships just to show the size and scale of this hangar. It is nominally split into 3 landing pads, although frankly, anything that fits will work. Across to either side of the rear of this hangar bay is a cargo ramp. This allows players to take cargo from the hangar bay itself to the cargo storage immediately above it. We'll visit that shortly in the tour. Also, to the side of these areas are some small rooms which move to side rooms. In this case it's marked to pilot ready room and main deck, and we'll visit that shortly. There's also plenty of cargo storage, and that can be used for cargo on a grid or for ground vehicles, both of which are shown here. In total, there is 1024 SCUs of grid storage purely in this area of the ship. The maximum crate that can fit on the grid is 16 SCU, but clearly there's a lot more physical space if people wanted to go off-grid. At the front of the ship there's some other hangar doors which can be opened to the front. On the starboard side are doors for the anterooms, in this case marked for the control room. In this anteroom there are some windows to the outside of the ship, and at the front some lockers for accessing the ship inventory. There is another door to access the hangar bay, as well as some stairs to visit upper deck. We'll follow those stairs shortly. In the interim, we'll head down a ladder into the subdeck below the hangar. Here there is access to the underside turrets, and behind some airlock doors is access to another mini hangar. This hangar is designed for an Argo MPUV, which sort of fits in here, but it's a bit janky with this version of the Idris, but it could be great for a little C8 or something like that. This hangar has its own controls for the doors, which are accessed via this terminal. It's worth adding, any ships that do come up here need to be able to sustain their own weight with the thrusters on while the hangar bay door is closed. In the fore section here is a relay terminal with one of the 3 fuses equipped, and we also get access to this room here. There's a blank terminal, but by opening a button on the wall we see the gravity generator of the Idris. Very cool. Moving back through the MPUV hangar, and this time taking the opposite stairs, we see that the layout is symmetrical with access to the second of the underside turrets here, before moving up into this side of the ship. We're slightly different here, where rather than the kind of series of lockers that were at the front of the other section, there's a small seating area for pilots or hangar crew to be able to use. Heading up the stairs of this section leads to a pilot ready room type area. There are some windows looking down on the hangar, as well as some gym type equipment for, I guess, pilots hanging out, waiting for their next sortie. There's also some lockers and some nice seating to enjoy the view in the hangar. There's also another fuse relay station. Moving up to the main deck, there are a couple of sim pods. They don't operate in game yet. We're actually going to head all the way back down to the hangar and then cross over to the other side of the hangar just to show what it looks like on the other side of that subdeck. This is marked as the control room. Heading up into the control room, there are 3 different console stations, as well as some nice decorative walls with screens on, and these console stations allow players to open and close the front and rear hangar doors from the station itself. This time the relay access is behind the stairwell at the front of the section. We'll once again follow the stairs up, and this will take us to the main section, the main deck. This time there are no sim pods. It is very easy to get lost aboard the Idris, but by entering into the Moby-glass, you can usually get a good view of where you are. In this case, we're on the main deck on the starboard side. And the first room we come across, which we also came across on the port side, is the mess hall. Some nice seats, as well as some windows looking out above the top of the ship. Off to the side is a whole set of bathrooms. And then at the front of that is access to a sub-corridor, which houses the CO and XO quarters. The captain's quarters is nicely but Spartan furnishings, but there's a bed available for the captain's use, and a personal bathroom. The XO quarter is a little bit simpler. There's a bed, a small bathroom. This corridor has doors on either side which lead to the port and starboard main corridor of that main deck. We'll just use that to get back to the mess hall. There's another door, this time moving rearwards, and this houses the crew sleeping arrangements. There are a series of double bunks, and then off to the side are the pilot's quarters. A little bit more luxurious, a little bit away from things. Those pilots need their beauty sleep. On the far side, on the opposite end, is another small bathroom. Leaving through the opposite door of the mess hall, we enter into the port side where we'd originally come up from the hangar deck. Moving forward through the ship, we see the docking collar. This is mirrored on each side and is airlocked to allow for entry and exit when in a vacuum. There are also 2 of these walkways which kind of sit just above the hangar deck and allow you to look down at the hangar below. Heading back up that over to the starboard side, we'll move towards the front of the ship. There's a red door with an airlock in it and some suit access. And then we also have the forward cargo bay. This cargo bay doesn't have any easy access to it, so although there is a small grid, its use is limited. There's also a red door marked maintenance access, which doesn't currently do anything in-game. Moving further forward towards the front of the ship, we get to the med bay. The Idris is fortunate to have a very well equipped med bay, with 4 beds in one room and 1 bed in the other room. There's also a small doctor's office. As of the current Star Citizen patch, all of these beds work in roughly the same way. Right at the front of the ship is access to a series of escape pods. And then right on the nose is the main manned turret. Moving further back, we see that door for the med bay, the door for this cargo bay, the forward one, and there are some neat little cubby areas as you traverse. There's a mirrored version of the airlock we saw on the starboard side. And then we see the corridor to the captain's quarters. We're walking past the stairs we walked up from the pilot ready room, and we see another cubby area, this time equipped with relay fuses. On the right there's an area to get to the bridge or to the brig. We'll keep going down this main corridor. We get to the access for the cargo bay. This is the larger of the 2 main deck cargo bays. In this case I've got some 16 SU crates loaded up, and this is where those 2 elevators move up from the hangar bay. Between these 2 main deck cargo bays there's 350 SCUs of storage, which tops out the full gridded 1374 SCUs on the Idris. From this side it's possible to access the engineering section of the Idris. This engine room is behind a double set of doors and is very engineering looking. There is an engineering console which simply says "Coming soon." It's worth adding, this is the only door to engineering on the Idris. There is a room which joins the port and starboard sides, which also holds elevator access for an elevator going from the main deck to the bridge. Heading back across on either side is a small door behind a button, which is kind of like a little engineering cubbyhole. There's some component access in here, but critically, there's also a set of fuse relays. Moving further back, we enter via a series of escape pods. This is on one of the wings of the Idris, which houses the route up to the bridge, as well as, in this case, the Armoury section. There's also a rudimentary firing range. There's a window to enjoy the view of the inside of the Idris. And then we get to some stairs which lead up to the bridge. We'll see that shortly. Heading across the Idris once more across those set of gangways, we enter into the other winged section. There's stairs leading up to the bridge, and on this side we have the brig. There are some prisoner cells. Mine not operating sadly at the moment. And then a small office for I assume a brig duty officer. There's a set of relay fuses and a door to that brig office. Moving further back through the wing, there are the escape pods that mirror the other side. Moving further towards the rear of the ship, there is another set of airlock and suit access. And all the way to the rear, we see the briefing room. It's a nice little hologram at the front showing an Idris, as well as plenty of seating to talk to the crew about the operation at hand. And right at the rear of the Idris main deck is turret access. Moving further forward through the ship, we'll head up to the bridge via one of the two wings. If you find it very easy to get lost aboard, fear not, that is normal. Using the minimap can really help. At the lower side of these wings are turret access, forward and aft. And this configuration is mirrored on either side. And then there's a set of stairs which leads up to the bridge. Includes some windows to look out and enjoy the view, and right before the bridge is a visual server rack of some description. These bring you up into the rear section of the bridge above the Idris. At the rear are 4 seats for remote turret access. And right at the back is that elevator which leads down to the main deck. In addition to leading down to the main deck, it also leads to a rear docking collar. Moving further forward onto the bridge, there is a set of relays on either side of the rear bridge, somewhat purported to be a weak spot. And then there's a holo table, as well as a range of bridge seats which all perform different functions. The view from the bridge is fantastic. For those interested in seeing a review of the ship, there will be one published to the channel just a few days after this tour, so make sure you're subscribed for that. I'll be interested to read your thoughts on the Idris P tour in the video comments, but otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.